Imagine a man so powerful that even the emperor feared to oppose him. A man who never wore the imperial crown, yet controlled an empire of more than 100 million people. Officials bowed before him. Temples were built in his honor while he was still alive. Those who criticized him disappeared. Some were tortured. Others simply never came home. His name was Wei Zhongxian. And for a brief moment in Chinese history, he became one of the most powerful men the world had ever seen. This is his story. To understand Wei Zhongxian, we have to begin with an ordinary nobody. He was born in 1568 during the Ming Dynasty. His family was poor, very poor. Unlike famous generals or brilliant scholars, Wei had no education, no prestigious family, and no future. As a young man, he reportedly spent his days gambling. He borrowed money, lost it, borrowed even more. Eventually, the debts became impossible to repay. According to the traditional story, Wei made a desperate decision. He castrated himself. It was a horrifying operation with no anesthesia. Many men died from infection or blood loss. But those who survived could enter the imperial palace as eunuchs. For Wei, becoming a eunuch was not an honor. It was survival. Life inside the Forbidden City was brutal. Thousands of eunuchs competed for the emperor's attention. Most spent their entire lives performing simple chores. Few ever gained influence. Wei, however, possessed something far more valuable than education. He understood people. He knew how to flatter, how to listen, how to gain trust. Slowly, he climbed the ranks. Then fortune smiled upon him. He was assigned to serve a young prince. That prince would later become the Tianqi emperor. This single assignment changed history. When the Tianqi emperor inherited the throne in 1620, he was only 15 years old. Unlike many rulers, he had little interest in politics. Instead, he loved woodworking. He designed furniture, built tables, crafted beautiful wooden objects with his own hands. While the emperor focused on carpentry, someone else began running the empire. Wei Zhongxian, another important figure, entered the story. Madame Ku. She had served as the emperor's wet nurse when he was an infant. The emperor trusted her almost like a mother. Wei Zhongxian formed a close alliance with Madame Ku. Together, they gained extraordinary influence over the young emperor. Officials who wanted promotions had to please Wei. Those who opposed him quickly discovered the consequences. Power grew rapidly. Wei controlled appointments throughout the government. He decided who would receive important positions. He controlled access to the emperor. He rewarded loyal supporters. He punished enemies. Soon, ministers feared Wei more than they feared the emperor himself. People began calling him 9,000 years. At first, this sounds strange. Chinese emperors were traditionally honored as 10,000 years. By calling Wei 9,000 years, people placed him just one step below the emperor. It was both flattery and a shocking symbol of his authority. Not everyone accepted this. A group of Confucian scholars known as the Donglin movement believed the government had become hopelessly corrupt. They openly criticized Wei Zhongxian. In another country, this might have led to political debate. In Ming China, it led to prison. Many Donglin officials were arrested. Some were tortured. Others died in custody. Their families suffered as well. Fear spread across the empire. People learned to remain silent. Meanwhile, something extraordinary happened. Temples dedicated to Wei Zhongxian began appearing across China. Think about that for a moment. Temples were usually built for gods or great historical figures after death. Wei received temples while he was still alive. Officials competed to praise him. Some called him a living saint. Others wrote poems celebrating his greatness. Whether these praises were sincere or simply acts of self-preservation is difficult to know. But everyone understood one thing. Disagreeing with Wei could be fatal. Outside the palace, however, the Ming Dynasty faced enormous problems. The economy struggled. Heavy taxes burdened ordinary farmers. Climate changes caused poor harvests. Rebellions broke out in different regions. Meanwhile, the Manchus in the northeast were becoming increasingly powerful. Instead of preparing for these dangers, much of the imperial court focused on political rivalries. Wei's enemies argued that corruption weakened the empire when it could least afford it. Whether he alone caused the Ming Dynasty's decline remains debated by historians. But few deny that his rule deepened existing problems. Then everything changed. In 1627, the Tianqi emperor suddenly died. He was only 21 years old. His younger brother became the Zhongxian emperor. Unlike Tianqi, the new emperor intended to rule personally. He had no affection for Wei Zhongxian. Almost immediately, investigations began. Officials who had remained silent for years suddenly found their voices. Charges of corruption flooded the court. Wei's supporters abandoned him one by one. Power built over decades collapsed within weeks. Wei attempted to flee, but there was nowhere to hide. The emperor ordered his arrest. Knowing the end had come, Wei Zhongxian hanged himself before he could be captured. His body was later desecrated. Many of his allies were executed or punished. His temples were destroyed. His statues torn down. His name became synonymous with corruption and abuse of power. It was one of the fastest political collapses in Chinese history. But history is rarely simple. Was Wei Zhongxian truly the monster later generations described? Or was he a convenient scapegoat for a dynasty already in decline? Modern historians continue to debate this question. There is little doubt that Wei abused enormous power. Yet the Ming Dynasty also faced economic crises, military threats, natural disasters, and deep political divisions that no single man created. Perhaps Wei did not destroy the dynasty alone, but he certainly became its most infamous symbol. His story also reveals something timeless. Absolute power rarely belongs only to kings. Sometimes, the people standing beside the throne become even more dangerous than the person sitting on it. Wei Zhongxian never called himself emperor. He never wore the dragon robe. He never founded a new dynasty. Yet for several extraordinary years, he ruled one of the world's greatest empires from the shadows. And then, almost overnight, everything disappeared. The rise of Wei Zhongxian remains one of history's greatest warnings. Not about eunuchs, but about what can happen when power exists without accountability. Because throughout history, empires have often been lost, long before the enemy reaches the capital. If you enjoyed this story and want to discover more hidden stories from Chinese history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for the next episode of China Untold Stories. Thanks for watching.